You are watching another episode of Tuesday Trivia, and this is Kumar Singh from Designed Analytics LLC. Well, the trivia question, or the question that we are going to actually discuss today, the answer to the question is, are small language models generally inferior to large language model when it comes to real world performance? Right. So as always, I will start with one word answer, which is no. And let's kind of start digging deeper into why this is my answer. Again, the perspective may differ from one person to another. I have said that time and again. I do not consider myself an expert in any domain, right? And I wouldn't want to be an expert in any domain for the rest of my life, because that's the only way to actually keep yourself up to date, keep yourself in learning mode, irrespective of any job that you are doing. We are in times where you cannot actually assume that you know something very well. If you really are an expert into something, that is probably on the way to automation in the AI world very soon, right? So yeah, I do not consider myself an expert. So basically my answers, take those with a pinch of salt, right? Do your own research. I will explain my answer in terms of why I think the answer is no. Why small language models may not be inferior to large language model when it comes to real world applications, and that is the key, when it comes to real world applications, right? So first of all, right, if you think about large language models in an enterprise context, right, what kind of model would you generally use in an enterprise, right? I mean, if I think about ways I use the AI tool that I use in my day-to-day life, it's mostly while I'm researching a topic and a question comes to my mind, right? Like, how would you design the different components of a database engine, for example, right? Or is there a real world example of a certain specific neuron firing signals that were captured and how they were leveraged in the real world, that I shared in my video series yesterday, right? So that technology, that interface is very much general purpose, is truly general purpose, I will say, right? Which means that I can ask a question on a wide variety of topics, or any topic actually. Sometimes it may struggle, it may hallucinate, give me some wrong information, but generally it will do good, right? Now, if you think about this in an enterprise context, right, do you really need a general purpose technology? Will you be asking anything and everything to the tool, right? So the key to understand, first thing, is that what is more important is the underlying architecture and the approach behind the large language models versus the model itself, right? Obviously, there is always this ongoing push to keep improving the model, making it more and more powerful. But the crux of it is the transformers, the self-attention, and all those aspects that come together to provide us a methodology which is powerful, right? So that's the first aspect, right? And what that means is that if you tactically, strategically leverage that background architecture, the background method, right, the approach, even in smaller subsets, it will still be powerful. Now, there are few ways to actually create these small language models, right, SMLs, right? There is an approach where you can actually build them from a large language model, right, by trying to understand like how you can divide that model into, or basically I'll say cut a portion of the model that you can use, right, reduce the size, and that you can use with similar kind of results, right? Now, when I say similar, it is exactly what it means. It's similar. It will not be exactly the same large language model performance, and a small language model created from that performance, from that large language model, will not have exactly the same performance, right? But in most circumstances, you don't need that precision, same level of like exactly the same performance from a small language model, right? If you are creating a small language model, I would expect that you know exactly why you are creating it, right? And there are ways to create SML from a large language model, right? The other approach is you can actually build a small language model from scratch as well, using the transformer approach and self-attention and things like that. But the gist here is the same underlying theory and architecture, right? The methodology, which is powerful, more efficient to run, probably more customized around your specific unique needs, right? And that is the keyword, your specific unique needs, whether you are an enterprise, public or private, right? Chances are you are not looking for an AI which can allow your employer to ask any sort of questions like what's the difference between an alligator and a crocodile, something like that, because they can use some public tool for that, right? So you are looking to either purchase or build an enterprise AI tool that's specific to your organization, right? And that's where small language models become powerful, right? As I have said again and again, the ideal scenario is, say, if you restructure a team and then decide, okay, these are the 3 small language models we need to have under this restructured team, so that the team can then leverage the results, enhances productivity, blah blah blah. Consider these small language models as nodes. It's not exactly federated learning architecture that I have in mind, but the gist is there are this hub and spoke thing where various hubs, right? Each hub connects to various small language models, and that hub in itself is a large language model, but still kind of customized for the enterprise, and they all come together basically. And there could be a master, or there could not be a master AI. Generally, if you create these different hubs and link them together tactfully, you may not need a centralized AI, and my advice would be against it, because it creates a single point of failure as well when you think about architecture in terms of enterprise AI. So again, to reiterate, the answer to my question is no, because you can actually get exactly what you want to get done with a small language model within enterprise context if you have charted the steps, like the pre-processing, the pre-work that you need to do to start building that model in a careful and strategic way. Well, thanks a lot for watching. I will see you again with another video on Thursday.